You're watching the latest Cyprus news from financialmirror.tv. Former President Tassos Papadopoulos, who died after a recent battle with cancer, was buried this week in Deftera near his family home. The funeral was officiated by Archbishop Chrysostomos and attended by President Christofias and his cabinet, House President Karoyan and Greek Prime Minister Karamanlis, as well as Foreign Minister Dora Bakoyannis, PASOK leader George Papandreou, political party leaders from Cyprus and Greece, and state officials. Papadopoulos is credited with some of the social reforms from the earlier days of the Republic, having been a close aide to Archbishop Magarios. He served as Minister of Labour and Social Insurance when the Pension Fund and the Wage-Linked Cost of Living Allowance, or COLA, were first introduced. Tassos Papadopoulos was elected to the House on several occasions and took over the Democratic Party, DIKO, that helped him get elected President of the Republic in 2003. Some of his government's main achievements included adopting the euro on January 1, 2008, while Tassos will go down in history for his rejection of the UN-proposed peace plan in April 2004, also known as the Annan Plan. The Ministry of Finance has borrowed 1.4 billion euros from local banks and issued treasury bills maturing in 39 weeks at the rate of 3.5%, which in turn will be used to inject liquidity back into the banking system. Commercial banks can use the treasury bills as collateral for a loan from the European Central Bank at the cheaper repo rate of 2.5%. Finance Minister Stavrakis said the government will use half of the money to repay maturing loans in early 2009 and the rest to place on deposit with the banks. The Finance Minister ruled out a revision of next year's state budget, noting that it has no relation with the estimated growth rate, currently projected at 3%. This is in contrast to a forecast made by Central Bank Governor Athanasios Orfanidis, who sees Cyprus' growth rate in 2009 falling to below 2% from 3.6% this year. Orfanidis predicted that recovery would start in early 2010. According to central bank data, inflation is expected at 4.6% in 2008, while for 2009 it should settle at 2.4%. For the real estate sector, the central bank expects a 10% increase in prices for 2008. In this week's economic news, a report by Eurostat that the GDP per inhabitant in Cyprus was near the EU 27 average for 2007 was encouraging, even though the average is declining. Thus, GDP per inhabitant in Cyprus, expressed in purchasing power standards, was 91%, or only 9% below the EU 27 average. With the price of oil continuing lower, it did not come as a surprise that the EU harmonized consumer price inflation rate fell to 3.1% in November, down from 4.8% in October and a peak of 5.3% in July. The biggest decline was in costs of transport, which dropped by 5.3%. However, the drop in fuel prices failed to generate increased car sales, with registrations dropping by 16% in November compared to a year ago. The total number of registrations reached 63,800 in January to November, compared with 61,000 in the same period a year ago. The trade deficit for October widened by almost 1 billion euros in the first 10 months of the year. Total imports reached 616 million euros, while total exports reached 88 million euros. The trade deficit for the period is up 21% to a record 5.2 billion euros. More disappointing news from the Labour Office, which reported that due to a slowdown in construction and real estate, the number of unemployed in November reached 12,073, or nearly 200 more than in November last year. The increase was mainly in hotels and restaurants, real estate and business activities and construction. In corporate news, Christis Christoforou was elected managing partner and CEO of Deloitte Cyprus for another 5-year term starting on January 1, 2009. Under the present management, Deloitte has expanded rapidly and currently employs 420, who recorded a turnover of 26 million euros. Christoforou said that the tax, audit and consultancy firm recently marked its 50th anniversary in Cyprus and strives towards maintaining standards of excellence. British Airways is maintaining daily flights between Gatwick and Paphos throughout the winter and marked the decision with a special event in London. BA representative Alison Nichols and the airline's country manager for Cyprus, Mariana Drokoudis, emphasized the importance of this decision at a time when the economic crisis is impacting the aviation industry and elaborated on future actions such as increased promotion of the route and the destination. George Leptos, president of the Paphos Chamber of Commerce and the town's Regional Board of Tourism, thanked BA for the decision to maintain daily flights. In other airline industry news, the International Air Carrier Association, which represents 34 leisure airlines and accounts for more than 25% of all traffic at Cypriot airports, said that Cyprus is still facing a severe downturn in tourism and a loss of competitive advantage compared to other destinations. This is also exacerbated by the global economic climate and the weakening sterling-euro exchange rate, which has affected the large UK travel market. The steep increase of more than 70% in airport charges at Larnaca and Paphos and the government concession fee of 33% on airport revenues are examples of how Cyprus has become an unattractive place for airlines, according to IACA, adding that Egypt and Turkey, that reacted quickly to the current downturn, are continuing to grow as holiday destinations. This follows recent news from TUI, one of the largest travel operators of the UK, that Cyprus faces the prospect of a 25% drop in arrivals from the UK unless urgent action is taken to avert the situation. Cyprus Airways announced it signed a letter of intent with TPG Credit Management for the sale of one of its older Airbus A320s for a total of $5.6 million. The deal includes an option to sell 2 more A320s and a profit of €1.8 million per aircraft. And finally, for some technology news, a senior Microsoft European officer was in Cyprus to review the local market following the global financial crisis. Michael Hartman said that the software giant sees a smaller impact in Cyprus and Croatia than in Ukraine and is trying to find alternative solutions for large companies and IT developers to save costs and cut their energy use. He added that Vista is more energy efficient than XP and that the new browser Internet Explorer 8 should be out by March or April. That's all, and thank you for watching FinancialMirror.tv.